Hello everyone, Louis Bam James Lou. I grew up reading his book, The Art of Stretching, also the book, The Kung Fu, The Way of Life, with his instructor, The Art of Kicking. Yeah, The Art of Stretching and Kicking. That blue and white book. And if we remember the Inside Kung Fu magazine, he was always one of the highlights of the magazine, modeling the equipment and so forth. It's a pleasure to be here with him. I know he has a new movie. We're going to try to get him to talk to us a little bit about that. But tell us a little bit more give him a little brief intro. Tell him a little bit about yourself and how you got into the movies.
I was very fortunate way back. They had a big cattle call for the Kung Fu TV series with the old crazy David Carradine.
Yeah, right.
And went out and auditioned and got cast as all the flashbacks from the Shaolin Temple. So back then they put a rubber skull cap and slipped the hair back and then glued this thing on my neck everywhere here.
Right.
And but now, shaving it. Now we're brothers, see?
Real deal now, yeah. What was interesting about that, I followed your career tremendously as a young kid, growing up in the inner city, and just seeing you in the magazines. But I remember one time they had wrote about you when you created kata. You were on an innovative level of doing kung fu forms in a different manner. Tell us what you were doing at that time to bring about a certain level of innovation with kung fu kata.
I guess it comes from my nature of just always trying to challenge myself, and also keep myself from getting bored. Because I practice all the traditional forms, you get that down, and then I find, okay, I'm just repeating repetitive stuff and part of the beauty of being a human being is to be able to create. Creativity is the one thing that distinguishes us from animals. You think about that. We are the only living things that can be creative. So I said, you know what? I like certain moves in this form, I like certain moves in this form. I said, what if I just put my favorite things into one? And then I guess we should always have some kind of beat going in our head.
Okay.
So we think about, let's put music with it and just make it entertainment. I guess that's part of my soul is to be an entertainer. So just put all that together and made it fun. We started doing demos and people were just crazy for that.
Okay. It's funny because I know the first time we had talked, and I had mentioned we had talked about hip hop and martial arts, and even with us even having a discussion right now about hip hop and martial arts, still the rhythm and the flow comes out regardless of what, because life is based on rhythmic motion.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Yes. Well, even in fighting,
yes,
which they call broken rhythm.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
there's still the beat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so
yes, sir.
it still beats.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. It's all hip hop.
That's funny. So it's like that natural elevation. Because if I'm correct, your instructor, your school at that time, it was a creative type environment.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
See, I did my research, man.
Yeah, it came to the point that, fortunately, we go to tournaments and we're basically just winning everything. All the students won from first, second, third.
Okay.
So the tournament director started saying, well, you know what? You guys just come do a demo.
Right.
So then we said, okay, cool. Then we had a little more leeway to come up with much more creative things, since it's not being judged as have to do a traditional form.
Okay.
So we also added the acrobatics, because I have a gymnastic background, so I have a little ballet.
Okay.
Which is absolutely, like in everything in life, it's like learning different styles, which is also different athletic skills, and bring it all together and make it your own.
And it's interesting because for me, standing here and being able to just have the respect and the rhythm and the flow that we have now, it just goes back to say that when you wrote that book, I'm telling you, and you probably didn't know what you were, I guess, just expressing yourself, not realizing what it was doing to a little kid in the projects. And I'm on welfare, and the greatest thing that I could do is go to the bookstore and steal a magazine. Or I remember I did an interview with Ice-T, and I told him, I said, at the beginning of your first album, you said, I know you stole this tape. Well, I did steal that tape in that book. But sometimes when you want something so bad, you will go to any lengths to get it. And your spirit and all the things that you did transcended to allow me to evolve as a martial artist, and even your instructor. So it's like, I guess, if we had a message to deliver to some kid that might feel inside his soul, inside his spirit, that it's something he want to do. You know, Damon John told me, he said, look, it's not always about being on the cutting edge of doing music. Sometimes you can be the guy behind the music scene doing the marketing and promotion. What would you say to someone that's just fighting right now and being labeled as like a slow person, need to be on medicine or whatever, just because they have, because it's funny, maybe I always tell people, if Rhythm was around back then, they'd probably put me on it, because when I was in school, I was like that. My mind just wanted me. Yeah, what would you say? I mean,
you know what? I think it all comes down to always follow your passion, what's in your heart. So if you truly believe this is what I'm meant to do, and tour groups coming by. Disneyland's on the right. So it's always about follow your path.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And do not let anybody knock you off that path, because there's always going to be people say that you can't do this, you can't do that, and I'm always about why not?
Yes.
Well, at least try, because that's the worst thing to do is to wake up one day and say, damn, I should have tried, instead of like, well, I did it, well, it didn't work out, but at least I tried.
Yes.
So that's a much better feeling for the artist.
And now you have evolved so much beyond just the acting, the little parts in the modeling. You're doing your own movies, you're doing your own projects. Tell us a little bit more about what you got going on here with the movie.
Well, this also comes from my passion and my love for doing the entertainment business.
Okay. That's it.
And the best way is to take control and really do your own things, because being a minority or being actually anybody, nobody will hand you this. Nobody just opens the door for you. You have to knock on that door. Sometimes you have to kick it down.
Yes, sir.
So this is part of the whole plan of saying, do what your path should be, or at least you think you want it to be.
And what's the name of the movie?
It's called Tengu, the Immortal Blade, and it's a really cool little concept. It's, in a nutshell, it's like an Asian Highlander.
Okay.
This guy's an immortal from 500 years ago in Japan, and he was given this immortal blade. So now he becomes, he was given the duty to become a defender for man, to help save him from evil.
Okay.
And now we cut to modern times. He's here and he's
doing his
going to fight the evil.
Okay. So in closing, and the creativity, even when you said it's like we all come from some sort of struggle in our life. It don't matter what color, what sex, whatever. We all got some sort of struggle. But I think the greatest, and what I'm getting from you, and what inspired me even through your example, your instructor's example, is that you got to grab a hold of what's inside your soul. Mm-hmm. And it don't matter if you want to do a movie and you ain't got no money. It don't matter if you want to make a song and you don't have the professional equipment. But if you have the passion, the goal, and the desire, and the belief in something much higher, guaranteed success on some level. It might not be what we want, but you will get from point A to some next level. I mean, is that correct?
Absolutely, and I get to train a lot of actors for movies, and they come, in the beginning with zero knowledge of how to do a fight. So, you know, and then they beat themselves up because there's a lot of insecurity. Think I'm gonna be in front of the camera,
Right,
everybody
right,
see me look like
right.
really like an idiot. So, you know, we do one some kick, and there's how can I get this out there? I said, don't worry. It's usually 10,000 repetitions. I said, you've only done 9,998 right now, so don't be so hard on yourself. And it's all about this progression and tiny steps of improvement. So if every day we just take that little step forward, pretty soon we'll be over there. But we never get to jump that far, because if you jump, you miss, then you'll fall down. And basically, you have to start back.
Right.
So
Right.
it's about just part of life is the process.
Yes.
Yeah, enjoy that part. Meanwhile, trying to reach that goal, you're gonna just miss out on all the fun and glory.
Getting out with the great master James Liu, and I just say, just like keep adding to what he said, it's just like, don't worry about the goal. The journey brought me here, right here. This is one of my heroes. Once again, a little kid, no matter where you at, no matter how hard things might be, just hold on, believe. No matter what anyone say, hold on and believe. This is the example that a young kid from the projects can be right here, and he don't realize how much this means to me, but it's just an honor just to know that he inspired me to be at this level. Now to be on the other side talking to him, God is great. Hang in.